Well, hello everyone, and welcome to your first lesson. Actually, proof that the American accent does work. And I'm going to show you an example here of how it works in real time. And you'll be able to see the difference because once we start taking away or once we start adding features of the American accent, which is really scientific actually. There's a reason why people sound a certain way, sound this way, and why people sound another way. There's actual anatomy there that's going on in your mouth and the back of your throat and your with your tongue, and even where the air and the power is coming from. That will give you that resonance, give you that sound of the American accent. I'll give you an example here. As you can see, there's a clock here, and I was watching a show the other day, and it was one of those spy shows, and I was like, and of course they had one of those. One of the bad guys is an exotic guy with an accent, and this is what he said. He said this here on the left side, and go ahead and say it how you would pronounce or say this particular sentence. Go ahead and try that for yourself right now. Okay, well, good. Now you have that in mind, and this is how he said it. The clock is ticking. The clock is ticking. The clock is ticking. And so he said it that way. And notice with the application, and all I'm doing there, the only reason why it sounds that way, I'm not trying to put on this accent or what have you, is all I did is I took out the features of the American accent here in the sentence, and it sounded just like the bad guy there on the show. He was, again, this exotic guy with a cool accent, and that's what he said. The clock is ticking, and that's how he said it. And notice how it sounds when we start putting the features of the American accent in there. How this sounds, okay? This is how it sounds with the features of the American accent. The clock is ticking. The clock is ticking. Notice the difference there. And so what we're going to do is, this is how I'll break this down. And again, this is proof that really this is something that you can do. All you have to do is add the features of the American accent in place of how you were saying it. Once you get the principles down, that's you'll be able to replicate that sound that I just made here. The clock is ticking. And so what we're going to do here, first we're going to work on some of the vowel sounds. And notice the difference here. Without the American accent features, and then I will put it back on. And this is just the vowels here that we're talking about. Clock and clock. Clock. Now I'm adding the American accent feature here of this particular vowel right here. Clock. Okay? Is. Is. Ticking. Ticking, ticking, ticking. Okay, so notice the difference there just by the sound there, correcting or making those adjustments just on the vowels. See, you put the American accent on, and it has that sound. Clock is ticking. Okay, now you take it off, and it sounds like this. Clock is ticking. Clock is ticking. Okay, very good. And so that's what happens. All you have to do is replace what you're doing with some of the things that I'll be showing you from the American accent. Now what we're going to do is we're going to now use that on some of the consonants. As we know, consonants are all the other letters that don't have, that isn't a vowel. Okay, and so you have is here and is and is. Ticking, 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 and with the American accent, ticking. So it went from the The clock is ticking. The clock is ticking. To the clock is ticking. The clock is ticking. And one of the things here that you may not have noticed is actually the style by which I said it. Notice the difference here in the two. The clock is ticking and the clock is ticking. Notice how these two words actually went together. Went together with the application of the American accent. Not all of these words have the same timing and importance in the sentence simply because of that. And so really that's what I wanted to bring out to you and to give you hope and give you comfort that this is something that you can definitely do. Now, these sounds that I made here, all I have to do is work with you. I'll look at your, in the classes that I have, I can look at your face, tell you what's happening with your tongue, what should be happening. Should there be, stress in a certain part of your tongue, your lips, where the air is coming from? What should you be focusing on? Certain aspects of the sound as well, and that's something that you can replicate. And as you saw here, just by the addition or subtraction of some of the features of the American accent, you can put on an accent, a foreign accent or an accent outside of North America, or you can put one on and sound like an American or a Canadian just by those features that you'll learn. And so that's the good news, is that the American accent and being able to put it on is not necessarily something that you have to be born into. Being raised in born and raised in the United States is going to take you some work, but there's a science behind it. That's what I wanted to let you know today, that there is a science of why people sound the way they do. And once you start applying that science, applying those lessons, as you can see here, I've been able to go back and forth from an accent of one of those guys on the TV show to some guy from North America. The clock is ticking. And you see the difference there. But I just wanted to give you an example of that. Hopefully that'll give you some hope that with some hard work, persistence, and application of these things, that you will start making those changes. In fact, I'll let you know that my students, when we're working together and we're working on putting these features in their sounds, there are many times and we just explode in laughter and jubilation, because what happens is that for that moment in time, as we're working on it together, they have no accent at all. They sound just like they were here in middle America somewhere, and that's fantastic. And so all they had to do in order to keep that is working on feedback, working on applying it and replacing the sounds that they were making, and mouth position, tongue, what have you, and now replacing it with what they've learned. And that's going to be the challenge, because the lessons are going to be fairly easy to grasp. The key and the trick is to applying it in your everyday life, putting it into practice when you're away from the lessons, when you're not having class, and when you're not in front of a mirror, when you're over there talking to your family, and when you're talking to people at work and in your social life as well. But here's an awesome example of how that can be done, and how it is definitely possible. And I hope that we can work together. Thanks so much, and I hope that you take this course and it does wonders for your life, not only personally, but professionally as well. All the best to you.